Hello, I'm Keith Hilson with the Schmidt Music Trombone Shop, back with another trombone accessory review for you. And today I've got one of the brand new or relatively new additions on the trombone mute market, specifically the carbon fiber cup mute / straight mute from Butler Trombones. Butler obviously is well on their way to becoming, if they're not already, a household name with their hand slides and with their trombone development and with all of the fantastic work and development they've been doing with carbon fiber. I think it kind of made sense for them to take a look at what else can we use carbon fiber for. Oh yeah, we can use it for mutes. Obviously, they're not the first company to look at alternative sources for mutes, whether we're talking, fiberglass, or obviously there's, tons of great wood options, fiber, etc. So this is just another part of that evolution. But I think there are some really, really fantastic things going on with this mute here. So I've got one of the tenor mutes today. Of course, they're making a bass mute as well. So I'm going to take a play on this in a couple of different settings, large bore tenor, small bore tenor settings, so you can hear all of this in action. I'm going to be using a Bach 42BO and a King 3BG with my trusty 5G and S.E. Shire's Michael Davis Plus mouthpieces, respectively. When we in the Trombone Shop had the opportunity to start talking with David Butler and Butler Trombones about carrying his wonderful instrument back last fall, one of the things he mentioned is that he was starting work on his cup mutes as well. He was doing development on a tenor and a bass trombone cup mute / straight mute here. One of the very now kind of traditional designs with the movable cup, gives you a couple different mute options. And so like I said, he mentioned he was working on all of this, and as we kind of got into the winter, he got the production rolling, and we started to get a little bit of feedback on these mutes. He started to get them out into the world a little bit, and the feedback from out there has been fantastic. So we were really excited to get our first tenor trombone mute in to give it a play, and I think from everything I've experienced, it lives up to the hype here. So Butler, of course, is known for their work with carbon fiber. What does that do for mutes? Why does this make a really great mute material? Well, there's a couple things going on for it. First off is the weight, and that's one of the things that we've seen from folks who have these mutes already, is we know how heavy mutes can be for tenor trombone, especially for bass trombone. You know, fiber mutes are okay. When you start getting in some of the better quality wood mutes, they can get heavy. And then obviously metal's a whole different another thing entirely, whether we're talking aluminum or especially if you start getting into, you know, brass or copper, etc. So these have got the weight thing going for them. Exceptionally light. You know, just like everything else carbon fiber, you almost don't know what's in the bell. I mean, you can feel it a little bit, but it's very light. But its acoustic properties, I think, really lends itself well to that mute concept. I've talked a little bit about my experience with carbon fiber trombones before and equating a lot of the response a little bit to like nickel silver. There's a darkness to it. You know, you can get a lot of projection happening with it. You know, it doesn't necessarily always get a sizzle to it, but you can get some brightness. What I really like about this mute, and both mutes, the cup mute and the straight mute right off the fact, is that I think you can get some of that real buzzy kind of quality, a little bit more of that aluminum-ish metal, you know, buzz to them, but they're still really stable. Intonation, so one of the things we talk about with intonation, the intonation is fantastic all the way through. It feels, you know, very free-blowing. I'm not noticing a lot of resistance to it. Now, of course, that depends a little bit on where you're positioning the cup when you're using the cup mute. So it is a movable cup, like I mentioned. It has the, you know, built carbon fiber, has a little bit of felt on the inside to help hold it in place. I noticed as I was going through adjusting, it's a little bit stiff at the beginning. I can already feel it loosening up a little bit. So depending, of course, where you exactly put the cup in relation to your bell, that's going to make a little bit of difference as far as the overall blow and some of the sound and, frankly, intonation aspects of it a little bit. But finding a really good balance, everything, intonation felt great. As we got down into, you know, the second partial and below, it was slightly stuffy, but frankly, pretty much every cup and straight mute is to a point. I mean, I went through and actually when we got this in, I kind of put it back to back with, you know, any of the number of the classic ones, the Dennis Wicks, the Joe Rals, you know, on and on. And frankly, this was, as far as just the overall blow in that lower register, this was right on par with everything else there. But again, giving us, I think, some really nice advantages in the upper register as well. Couple of nice features. So first off, the size of the cup works really well for an 8.5-inch bell as well as an 8-inch bell. Felt really comfortable with both. I did adjust the cup a little bit to the taper between the 42BO and the 3BG. Kind of makes sense there. One nice little feature that Butler has included that I think is really clever is the ability to move the corks here. So they just use it's a kind of a poly, you know, rubberish type of cork material. That's Velcro. And so you can go through and you can just adjust them wherever your bell taper needs, which I think is a really great alternative to having to go through and file down your corks to find the exact right taper. Now, you know, just like everything else, it's Velcro. How is it going to hold up? Well, if you're not sitting there and moving the Velcro all the time, I think it's a non-issue with all of it, right? And I think it's, again, it's a very clever idea. What I really loved about this too is I felt like there was a very obvious timbre difference between the cup and the straight. They both played wonderfully, and that doesn't always happen for me on the cup straight, you know, movable cup combinations. I know some people love how the straight mute version of movable cups work. I've typically not been a huge fan. This is different though. I really like how both of them play, and what I liked about it is that, again, I felt like I was able to lean into them. I was able to get some buzz, but they still retained a little bit of darkness. It didn't just get all edgy and just without any actually kind of core to the sound at all. It reminded me of a little bit of a combination of a metal mute with some of the buzz, but you're getting a little bit of the warmth of the fiber, but with a very different playing experience as well. So I think, like I said, a wonderful design. I think they're fantastic mutes. I think they're a really great addition to the trombone community mute offerings. And again, if you're somebody who's had, you know, any issues with weight, with your instrument, with balance, you know, all of that kind of thing, boy, there's going to be a lot of upside to this, not to mention how well they play, all of the sound qualities they bring to the table. So, very excited to be able to share this with you today. If you have had a chance to experience one of the Butler cup mutes, or you have any thoughts about what you heard, please leave them in the comments. If you haven't already done so, think about hitting the thumbs up on this video, subscribing to our channel, becoming a part of our community which is so important to us. And of course, as always, you can find the Trombone Shop on Facebook and Instagram. As always, thanks for watching.